What's up, barbecue fans? Welcome to the patio. My name's Jake, and today we're talking about pellet grills and trying to help out those who are maybe just thinking about getting one, or they're new to one and they want to make the most of their experience. So I've got today 5 tips. Let me give you a little bit of background first. My Yoder Y640S is behind me. I got that 6 years ago. Before actually I was thinking about starting a YouTube channel, and in that time I've put upwards of 500 cooks on it. I've cranked out a ton of videos. I don't know how many are just on the Yoder on the channel, but there's 260 videos today, somewhere around there on the channel. I have a ton of experience with my pellet grill, and the one thing I want to make crystal clear out of the gate is that the difference between the quality of food I make today versus what I did 6 years ago is night and day difference. And that's with, I started smoking meat about 30 years ago on a electric drum smoker. Then I went to a Weber Smoky Mountain, and then I went to a Komodo Joe. Then I rolled into my Yoder, and I also went with my Komodo Kamado. Now I have an offset. And the one thing I'll tell you about pellet grills is that I had 3 of the most popular brand out there. I tried them once many years ago and hated it. Then I tried it about 6 years ago and I saw a lot of progress, but I wasn't happy with the quality of the cook, and that's what led me over to Yoder. So with all that being said, I've taken everything I've learned and all my tips and tricks, and I've put them into a digital book I call the Ultimate Pellet Grill Mastery Bundle. You can download that. Just check out www.pelletgrillsecrets.com/level up, and you can get it. And if you actually happen to have a Yoder, you'll have an opportunity to get my pizza course, which I go over a whole bunch of different doughs and how to use the Yoder pizza oven. But no matter what kind of grill you have, the initial Ultimate Bundle will be a great starting point for everyone and help you start making some great food right out of the gate. So with all that being said, let's get into my first tip. First one is pellets matter. Pellets are not only your fuel source, but they're also your flavor source for smoking. So if you cut corners on pellets, you're not going to get the same results. Now I have Bear Mountain oak pellets here. I've done extensive testing on pellets. I'll link to a video up here where I tested 7 brands. Look, you could go to Costco and you could get a 40-pound bag for super cheap. If I had to guess, they're probably Traeger pellets, because Traeger sells their pellet grills through Costco. That's where I got sucked in my first time. And so I would imagine they're probably Traeger pellets, and I'll tell you, they're some of the worst pellets out there, right? They're not known to produce a ton of smoke flavor. So, in the US, you can get Bear Mountain. They're not available in Canada yet. I don't know what the Canadian alternative is. I think you can get Lumberjack there, which is good. But the short answer is that these guys they're responsible for all of your flavor. So don't cut corners on your pellets, because if you do, just like everything else in life, you get what you pay for, right? And pellets are absolutely no different. Tip number 2 is keep your firebox clean, right? The one thing about pellet grills you have to understand at the gate is that they require a little bit more maintenance than a gas grill or something else. These guys, they have a firebox, and what happens is pellets drop into there, and the igniter starts up the process, and once it's going, now you've got a computer that regulates the flow of pellets into the fire to get your set temperatures, right? When you're done, when it goes through the cooling process, there's gonna be a bunch of ash buildup that's left in the firebox. They're all different where they are. I'm gonna pull this one out here real quick. The Yoder's got a special tray that goes in here, okay? So here's what the tray looks like. So I did a cook yesterday. I did a video on ribs and went through the shut-off sequence, and this is what's left. You want to get rid of that, dump it out. Some grills have a removable firebox, some don't, but this is super easy to do. Just make sure that it's clean. And if you start to get a buildup of pellets down below, get yourself a cheap shop vac. The best bang for the buck is Home Depot has one, I think it's 25 or 30 bucks. It's the bucket shop vac, and you use one of their 5-gallon buckets, and you're gonna suck in a whole bunch of dust. You don't want to use a good shop vac, just something that'll get rid of that. So the reason for cleaning out your firebox is pretty simple. If you don't keep that clean, what'll happen is you can have a flame out. And really what that is you'll come out an hour or two later, and all of a sudden things will not be hot, they'll be cold because your fire went out. Starting with a clean firebox just ensures you get a proper startup and you're gonna have a successful cook. And a side note to that is that use your shop vac and vacuum out the entire pit, right? You can do that every couple of weeks, once a month. What I do is I will take my firebox tray there and I'll dump out the ash inside the yoder, and then that way I don't have to vacuum it every time, but I can get to another cook, and then once a month I just pull out the diffuser tray and I vacuum it all out, and we're good as new. So all you gotta do is once a month, make sure you give it a good vacuum. The little caveat I will share actually is that if you're using the Yoder wood-fired oven, I always like the vacuum before I do that, just to reduce the chances of ash blowing around inside there. Tip number 3 is a critical one. I see a lot of people online stressed out over this, and you're wasting your time. You see, when you turn one of these guys on and when they're going, we'll wait for our Yoder to turn on here real quick. When I hit start, I can adjust my temperature, right? And that is my target temperature. I'm gonna turn this off because I don't wanna do that. There is a digital temperature gauge on there, right? So what happens is people set it at 225 or 275 and they see temperature fluctuations and they freak out. And lots of times what they do is they actually start adjusting the temperature to outsmart the computer. Here's a critical thing to understand. There is a live fire in there. Not all pellets are created equal, and they're not always the same size. So as it's dumping in pellets to adjust for that temperature, there's gonna be fluctuations. This is absolutely normal. You know, you're gonna have fluctuations. What you don't know, because there's not a temperature gauge on your oven inside, is it fluctuates upwards of 50 degrees depending on your oven. So don't get stressed out about that. If it's a problem for you, get yourself a little piece of tape and just cover up your display, because it's gonna fluctuate. Now there are some brands out there that hide that fluctuation and they show a constant temperature. They're hiding it, okay? I had a Komodo Joe, the Connected Joe here, and their lines were flat, and I had real world data that showed that it wasn't flat at all. It's a live fire, it can't be flat. You know, you're gonna have some fluctuations, but you know, set your temperatures, focus on your cook, get yourself a drink and just relax. You know, outside barbecue in general, backyard barbecue, whatever you want to call it, is supposed to be fun. So don't stress out over your temperature fluctuations, because they're going to happen and it's not going to hurt your barbecue whatsoever. Tip number 4, lower your temperatures. Right? If you do any research on a pellet grill, you're going to hear time and time again, pellet grills aren't known to put out the most smoke, especially if you compare it to something like an offset. You know, in my offset, I'm burning these 13-inch by 3-inch splits. I've got a big fire and there's 3 logs burning and we're putting off a ton of smoke. In our pellet grill, we've got this little tiny firebox, right? We're dropping some pellets in there, and as you come up in temperature, you burn a cleaner and cleaner fire. So the cleaner that fire is, the less smoke you're gonna have. So typically a good rule of thumb is, you know, you wanna keep things under 275, right? 275 is as high as you wanna go to get some good smoke flavor in there. If you go higher, you're still gonna get a little bit, but not nearly as much. But here's the thing, start super low, right? I like to take an extra couple hours and, you know, go at 180 or 200. Because at those low temperatures, these will put out a ton of smoke, and you're gonna stretch out your cook a little bit, but you're gonna get a way better result. You know, when I'm doing briskets, I'm doing, you know, a couple, 3 hours at at 200, then I'm going to 225 for 4 hours, and I'm going to the 250, and then I want to go to 275 because I want to help render that fat, and I want that to cook for at least 6 hours. But I want to put as much smoke as I can into the beginning, and the way to do that is, number one, use a good quality pellet. Number two, reduce those temperatures. That brings us to tip number 5, and it has to do with this guy right here. Get yourself a smoke tube. What this is we fill it with pellets or wood chips, whatever you want, and you can mix them up. I typically will use wood pellets because they burn a little longer. The wood chips don't burn as long, but you get yourself a torch, you light it, let those go for a minute, and then you blow it out. And something like this will last for roughly 4.5 hours on a full tube of pellets. And what that does is you're adding some supplemental smoke flavor. Now, I have a video out there, it's 11 secrets to more smoke on a pellet grill. I talk about this, but since that video came out, I have kind of a new rule of thumb when it comes to a smoking tube. My rule is when you're smoking meat, don't use this for more than half the smoke, right? So if you're doing a pork butt and it's gonna take 8 hours, only run 1 tube through it because that'll be about 4 hours. If you're gonna do ribs and they're gonna be a 4-hour cook, depending on what temperature you're doing on them, maybe use half a tube, right? I see people using 2 of these and I see them using them throughout the entire cook. That's gonna way overdo it. Not necessary. The only caveat there is when it comes to brisket. So I gotta tell you, one of the things that's changed the most over the last 6 years is my brisket. There is a night and day difference. And one of the things that I do is I run 2 smoke tubes back to back. And then the other thing I do is I bought a warming oven. You can put it in your normal oven on warm, but you want to hold it, close to 150 if you can. Most ovens will, a lot of ovens will only go down to 170, but that long hold really helps. But adding the smoke tube really takes it to the next level. So these are like 20 bucks. I got them in my Amazon store down below. Grab yourself one of those. You definitely won't regret it. If you can't tell, I'm fighting with the clouds a little bit, but I want to make sure I give you one bonus tip. This one's super important. Probably the most important out of them all. Have fun. This is backyard barbecue. Barbecue is about sharing food with your friends, your family, your neighbors, people at work, right? It's all about different flavors, different techniques, and there is no right and wrong way to do it. You're gonna see a lot of opinions out there, including some of my own. But my views 15 years ago versus 5 years ago versus today have dramatically shifted, constantly changing things. One of the greatest things that YouTube did for me was it made me push into new things like making sausages and making bacon and trying different things, right? But do that at home as well, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Failure is life's greatest teacher, and don't take barbecue too seriously. Just have fun, share your passion with other people, and if you're really looking to step up your game, you want to kind of fast track things, don't forget to check out my Ultimate Mastery Bundle. I guarantee you, it'll be the best 19 bucks you've ever spent. 100% money back guarantee. I share all my secrets with you. It's 46 pages and like 220 images. Check that out if you want. I'm going to link the 2 videos here that I think will be super helpful for you. One of them I referenced, 11 Secrets to More Smoke, and this one, 12 mistakes that pellet grill owners make. I made a few of those. I'm going to save you hassle. Hopefully you got some value out of this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It definitely helps. If you're not subscribed yet, do so below. And don't forget to check out these videos. I'll see you soon.